diving in 1 week later, brother, into the greatest Godzilla movie that I have ever put my eyes on. I am not alone, of course. I am with the man that I've known for 20 years. We have a 20-year partnership, brother. We are the cream of the crop, rising to the top. It's Billy, translated in Japanese.
Konnichiwa, koko ni kite yoko desu.
Yes, that is as much as Japanese as Billy could get for this particular episode. If you haven't noticed, and the reason why you're watching this is because you clicked on that Godzilla thumbnail and you know that we're talking about Godzilla Minus One, the amazing Japanese epic that just came out last week. It was number 2 at the box office on its release, and now it has dropped a bit, but is still number 1 in my heart.
And it is the highest grossing foreign language Japanese film in America.
Oh, look at that. So put that in your sock and suck it. I don't know. We are excited to dive into this. We are surprised that so many people love this as much as we do. And we're going to get into all the little fun details. And one thing that I am going to say right off the bat is this is what all movies should aspire to be. Let's hop into that synopsis, baby. Japan is already devastated by the war when a new crisis emerges from a giant monster. Very short, very true. And that is Godzilla Minus One. I'm not going to get into the cast this week because, I'm not going to be able to pronounce a lot of these names. I really don't want to butcher people's names. But the cast is really fantastic. There's a little bit of overacting, but that's okay. And it's just worth it. So let's just hop right into it. Let's not mess around. We're going to get into what worked. Billy, I'll let you go first. What worked,
right.
Billy, son?
The drama of this was great.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
They occasionally overreact a bit. I mean, Shikishima, the main character, occasionally is a little bit too emotional and occasionally cries a bit too much, but just
it worked.
But he's just so good in this, and all the people in it. You're just looking at them, and even the kid, you're like, oh.
Yeah, the kid when he was like bawling. Like, oh, yeah.
And and also just gotta love the new Godzilla.
Yeah. Now, did you see Shin Godzilla?
Actually, no, I didn't see that one.
Really? Okay. So this and Shin Godzilla are neck and neck for my favorite Godzilla movies of all time. Now, I love the classics. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of establishments in the original Godzilla films, but these two particular movies did something that I absolutely appreciate, and that is the genesis of Godzilla, because it's more than just here's the monster, he's gonna eat everybody, and we all gonna die. There is a lot more depth into even Godzilla itself, because aside from it having an evolution, both movies you get to see a version of Godzilla. And I personally, I think those little creatures that were floating around in the water, this is big work for me. This worked big time. Were baby Godzillas, and we got to see one that kind of rose to the cream of the crop, so to speak, as I did my intro. You see now I did that, folks. But I think that's why these two worked. Shin Godzilla, it transforms into this just creepy looking creature. It's like dripping stuff. You could see the evolution of the monster. This, they did the same thing, because the first time we see Godzilla, when he's on that island, the Odo Island, and after we find out our reluctant hero is a coward and didn't do the kamikaze plan like he was supposed to.
And also didn't use the gun on the plane to shoot the monster.
Yeah, he chickens out a bunch of times. But you know what? In his defense, as we saw in the movie, that fucking thing would have ate him up. He would have not survived. It would have been a blip on the horizon. He did the right thing, because he's like, yo, those bullets ain't gonna do anything. And he was right. Those bullets didn't do squat. So kudos to him. And then kudos to this dude because he's like an animated screamer. I tell you, that was epic. But seeing the genesis of Godzilla growing and morphing into something bigger and scarier, I thought was just fantastic. And what I really worked for me was the way that they did the glow tail, because instead of like just slowly glowing or it revving up, it revved
and the
up and then
spikes like
spikes
growing.
like grew too. Yeah, I was like, oh shit, this is amazing. And I think that really, really worked. There's so much that worked in this. There's very little that didn't work. This is going to be a longer segment than usual.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the few times where I've always been partial to the older Godzillas and the costume. I never really got into the CGI Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, I was feeling like, I was like, this is how CGI Godzilla should look.
And kudos to Square Enix, my favorite developers for Final Fantasy games. Really raised the bar because they were the ones behind this. And instead of playing PS5, we can do it right here in Godzilla Minus One. I just think like some of the scenes in the water, especially when his face just kind of like pops up in and out of the water, looks so sick. I thought like some scenes when he was on land, I was like, did they use like a guy in a suit and then just kind of digitally enhance him or a girl, because it looks so good. I was like, this almost looks practical. And then, you realize, no, that's CGI. But there's a great human element to this movie. And a lot of the times you get these Godzilla movies, like the ones here in America, where it's like, okay, there's a guy, he did this for his kid, and his kid's grown up, and he had a kid, so he's trying to save his kid. And okay. But this one is like, hey, everything we knew, our way of life is completely screwed. We're slowly rebuilding. And that's another thing, is we saw the development of Godzilla. We also saw the development of the main character as he's readjusting into a decimated life. Because when he first comes home, they basically just have like a little bit of a roof. And as the movie progresses, he molds his living space, and his living space evolved. That's one of the little things that I appreciated as a viewer, because I just thought that was a great way to show not only the movement of time, but the aspects of the human involvement, because he went from a coward, and even at the end, he was still shaking, but he got over it and saved the day. So there's so many amazing, wonderful elements that work so well in this movie. I highly recommend folks go see this Godzilla movie if you haven't. So I don't know why you would click on this if you haven't, but this is going to be spoiler ridden, and it's Christmas time. That's where all the lights are doing all that stuff. So don't worry, the police are not climbing in my window.
I wish I could change the lights in my room. It's always the same colors.
Always red, ruby red. Another thing that worked so well, besides the development of the characters, it was the long stemming issue that he had with his fellow soldier. They're the only two survivors of the first incident recorded with Godzilla. And the resentment from both men on the whole situation lasted throughout the film. And he basically called that guy out. And that's how they resolved this, because they needed somebody to fix the plane.
Yeah, he's like, I need to find this guy. How do I get him to come to me? I'll tell him it's his fault that everybody died.
Yeah, I was like, that's fucked up. I love that. I thought that worked so well. It's like, I'd be pissed too. I'd come out of hiding and be like, what the fuck?
I'm like, this motherfucker, I told you to get in the goddamn plane, you chicken shit little bastard. How dare you tell me? I gave you a plan. You didn't listen to my plan. You just hid like the little coward you are. And you're going to tell me that that's my fault? Fuck you. I'm gonna go to you in person and tell you, "Fuck you!"
Yeah, and he beat the
and
shit.
He did.
It was a whack.
He's like, oh. I knew that would get you to come here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. He's like beat up, tied up, getting his ass beat. What happened to your eye? Oh, I fell. I was so drunk. The crippled dude beat him up.
You got him to help us?
Yeah.
What happened to your face? Oh, I fell.
I fell while drinking. Oh, it's what an ironic timing, because this guy's back. Yeah. How about that? Just so many great dynamics in this film. Another thing that worked really well is like the evolution of Godzilla. was at first it felt like he was playing with everybody because he would pick up. He didn't like chew him and eat him or decimate him to a point. He picked him up and chucked him, almost like my dog does with a lot of his chew toys. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was an excellent.
Especially
I thought it was
in Ginzo during that train scene. Like,
oh, that train scene was everything.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, that's when she dies.
Yeah, I thought for sure she was good. She's a trooper, man. Because there was another near-death scene for her, and this is actually the first time Homeboy actually grew some chutzpah, and happy Hanukkah to all our Jewish friends. But he grew some chutzpah and came out and really went to try to save the day. And fucking, like, I thought for sure she was toast because you have this great scene when Godzilla finally fires up his heat breath and decimates Ginza, or however you pronounce that town.
Ginza.
Completely destroys it. And there's this scene where they're standing. I don't know why you stop. Like, keep running. But there's a scene where they're standing there and there's like this big, thick building that apparently can withstand Godzilla heat. I want to make my town out of that building, by the way. Like, why don't we make all the buildings out of that building? But the two of them are standing by, and she saves him. She pushes him in the little cubby or alleyway, and then gets like
blasted.
And I'm like, oh, well, that's the end of her. And I thought for sure, yeah, she's totally toast. Like, she's like infused with some other buildings, and she survived that shit too, man. Like, wow, I want to be.
Yeah, because like the next scene you see after that, there's people with Geiger counters going around checking things, and you're like, oh. If she didn't get vaporized, she got radiation poisoning and she's dead.
Oh, yeah, everybody in this movie got radiation poisoning for sure. Oh my goodness. And another great thing that worked was the cat and mouse game they played with Godzilla itself in the water with the ships. It was very reminiscent of Jaws. Did you get that?
Oh yeah, I totally saw that, especially when they had like the rickety wooden boat and they had to try to use the mines. And I was like, oh my God. He's Brody.
Yeah. I mean, this guy even looked like Hooper a little bit, like not Hooper, Quint. And he's the older salesman and everything. And I just loved how they like, all right, we'll drop the mine. And then the mine went in between Godzilla's like spikes. And you're thinking, oh, maybe like one of the spikes will drop. No, not even phased. So they're like, you know what? It didn't work the first time, but let's try it again. And they threw another mine, but the second one got him, and it like just slowed him down, and they watched him just heal up. I thought that was incredible.
Oh yeah, that healing scene was like, oh shit.
Yeah, it was like, well, we pissed him off. That's good. This is the end of us. There's so many great moments in this movie between everything with Godzilla and the human characters. I actually really appreciated the adoption scene because after what happened with the war, our protagonists find a baby randomly, and one girl is stealing for food for the baby. And
Noriko found the baby, well, because it was her neighbor's kid. And she took the baby in because the neighbors died during the air raids.
Yeah. So I just absolutely loved this movie. I can't believe how good it was. This is the first time I'm like, God, I want to see this again. And I just saw it like literally today. I haven't had that type of experience in years, you know? So this is a big win.
And this had like such family drama and stuff like that. And you saw like with the Minesweepers, like how they became like a family and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like they were even like, wait, so you and her aren't married?
Yeah.
Why the hell not?
Yeah. There was just
and like when she was believed dead, and they were like, you idiot. Why didn't you marry her when you had the chance?
Yeah. It was just so many great connections. All right. We really gushed on what worked. Let's talk about our very short section, what didn't work. I think there's only one thing that didn't work for me in this movie, but I'll let you go first as a courtesy.
Surprisingly, I would say it was a little short. I think they could have actually made this thing a little bit longer.
Wow, it was 2 hours,
I did not feel that.
Yeah, I didn't feel it either. Like when he went back to civilization and his town was decimated and they're trying to like kind of merge into society again and they're slowly rebuilding. There was some couple of times where I kind of like lost it, but it came back.
But it's funny, like for a subtitled movie with no dub version.
Yeah.
I was watching this thing and I'm like, it's over?
Yeah. Yeah. When the movie's good, the movie's pace is on.
Yeah, and then you're just left like, wow, this movie was too short. And then you just hear like it was 2 hours, and you're like, when the fuck did that happen?
Yeah, it was insane. I couldn't believe it. It was like this was 2 hours. The only thing that didn't work for me was on the plane that he had originally. There was a bomb. I thought it was going to be. Was it somebody's Razov's gun? I thought that was going to have some type of implication and things later because he had this big bomb on his plane. So I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's going to play into this somehow. And then when Godzilla showed up, which surprised me, it's like, oh shit, right? The first like 10 minutes of the movie, he's like here. So I thought at least they would try to like blow up Godzilla or something, and then he would be mutilated and like coming back. But no, they didn't even. It was like, don't forget about that bomb. Don't worry about it.
Well, they kind of did because like it was the rule of threes if you didn't pay attention, I guess, because like the first plane got blown up and he didn't, and they were worried about the gun. They didn't mention there was a bomb on it, but they didn't mention it because the gun. Then there was the mines, and they're like, okay, we're gonna try to blow them again. And then the third time, that's when the bombs actually work.
Right, but I'm talking about the very first one. Like,
yeah, I'm talking about
like,
that too.
It was such a hard camera on the focusing on that bomb that it was like, okay, maybe we're gonna use this. I mean, that's just the only thing I could think of because everything works so well in this movie that it was very hard for me to like even mention that. It was just such a good film. And what did you think of so here's one thing that I'm on the fence about. What did you think about the plan to drown Godzilla and then raise him back up? It's like, you know what happened to that ship with that rich douchebag? We're going to do that to Godzilla. That's not going to work at all.
Yeah. We'll drop him in the water, try to drown him, and then we'll put him on a raft and he'll float away.
I was like, wait, you going to raft him? Like,
yeah, the raft plan was like, that's dumb. That's very dumb.
And what's plan B? Plan B, if he doesn't drown and the pressure doesn't kill him, we'll use the raft and he'll float back up and he'll implode. And I was like, part of me says yes, but part of me says this is dumb shit right here. Because just because you wear glasses, dude, doesn't mean you're the man that knows it all.
In fairness, I'm going to piss off some people by saying this, but he was a World War II military strategist. That did not go well.
Wow. There it is, folks. That was strictly from Billy translated, not from me. But when Godzilla dropped and then all of a sudden his like heat breath stopped, I was like, oh shit, did that work? Because I was like, they got me because I was like, oh no, that worked. I feel stupid. And for a second, I thought, is this how the movie's gonna end? He's just gonna, all right, and then he sinks. You know what I mean? Like, for a second, I thought, oh wow, what a way to finish this movie.
Yeah, so was the plan raise him up and try dunking him again? Try like give him the teabag treatment?
Yeah, dude. Here we go, Godzilla. Dude. Maybe
1 up or 2.
But because it almost seemed like it worked because his light just went off. I was like, oh wow, I feel dumb. It really but no, it didn't work, obviously. But it did like screw up Godzilla.
Yep, and the tugboats came to the rescue.
The tugboat rescue was kind of dope. Hey, yeah, awesome people that you didn't think could do anything. We're here now. We're gonna save everything.
That was the Godzilla Endgame moment.
Yes, it was. We need more tugboats. Tugboats assemble. Oh my god, that was hilarious. Tugboats.
On your left.
On your left. What? Oh my god, that was so funny. The oh, the scene where he first comes to land was incredible too. But on your left, we got this. But I even liked how the ships, when they collided, it's like there's gonna be a little bit of damage, but we'll make it. Yeah, no, totally messed it up. All right, let's see the reception. Ooh, Godzilla's flying high. Godzilla Minus One on the old Rotten Tomatoes gets a 97% fresh from 111 reviews from reviewers. And the fans absolutely love it. 2,500 verified ratings, 98% fresh. Unbelievable. And let's see how it did numbers-wise in the box office. For a domestic gross of 25 million, and then international of 26 million for 51,974 total. But I expect those numbers to rise.
It's like Godzilla.
Yeah, it'll come back. Now, I don't think Shin Godzilla got a theatrical release, right?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
But this one, I was amazed. This one went to theaters, and
oh wow, actually no, it actually did really well. It did not do well here in the United States. It did well overseas. Shin Godzilla did some good numbers, but this isn't far behind. Excuse me. Yes, see, Shin Godzilla got 77 million. 947,607. But I still think that, that's its full run. And it was out in 2016. So what a year that was. I think too many people were depressed to go see that movie.
I didn't even realize it was in theaters. I always thought it went straight to video.
I did too, but no, it made it in there. And I got to give the design for this Godzilla credit, because it kind of...
I was tempted to buy like a couple of Godzilla figures just to put on my desk and stuff for this video.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Yeah, so I think it did well, and I think it's going to do gangbusters in the future. I think word of mouth is going to be very beneficial for this movie. And I think that we're looking at a new legend for Godzilla.
Yeah, I'm thinking this one might actually, seriously, more people should see this than even the legendary ones.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's Kong and Godzilla coming out, but I'm like, C minus one.
Yeah.
Also, here's a fun fact for people if you didn't know this. In Japan, when there's like a catastrophe site, you know how in America we said ground zero?
Yeah.
They use -1 instead.
Oh, wow. That's the name. Look at that. All right. So let's see the latest news on this. All right. -1 proves that Godzilla is the most versatile character in film history. The latest installment in the kaiju franchise is currently making big waves in theater, with universal acclaim from critics, including our own the IGN, which is where we're reading this article from, an A cinema score, and enough audience demand that production company Toho has extended the film's North American theatrical run. The Big G's latest outing is looking like an unqualified smash hit. In fact, it's already taken the throne of the highest grossing Japanese film of all times in the United States box office. That is legendary. And you had mentioned that earlier. And I think what's going to end up happening is we're going to get, as evident from the last couple of minutes in the movie, where Godzilla's heartbeat says, "Oh, I ain't dead yet, motherfucker." I think we're going to get another one of these.
Yeah, we saw Godzilla regenerating. We saw it where he pulled like a perfect cell animation style regeneration.
Yeah. So I really don't think it's done. I don't think we're going to be at all done with Godzilla. So get ready for that. All right,
But
let's have our
we're
final
sorry,
thoughts.
Shizuka, Shiksima, your war is not over yet.
With a final look at the overall film, this is by far one of the most satisfying movies in the franchise history. Probably surpasses some of the stuff that we're doing here in America. Definitely a great film overall to enjoy between everybody in the household. A lot of great acting, a lot of great moments. Some of it is a little over the top, but that as to be expected. This, I think, is something that if you haven't seen, you need to see it, and if you have seen, you need to see it again. I need to tell a friend because it is definitely the most interesting film. This one, probably this year. I think this was better than all the Marvel films I've seen this year for certain.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, like this blows a lot
I
of
mean, I'm not even just saying this is a weeb. I mean, totally am a weeb, but I would freaking tell you again, see this, have your friends see this.
Yeah.
This has, well, you've noticed that we've thrown in a couple of comparisons to other things. We've thrown in Endgame, we've thrown in
Yeah.
Jaws. I mean, there are elements that are timeless and universal that you will love if you see this movie.
Yeah, and you'll catch a lot of these ticks when you see it.
And a great family drama too. I'll just throw
Yeah.
that in there.
Yeah, it really, really like checks all the boxes.
And great
And
ensemble cast. I mean, like seriously,
yeah.
everybody in this thing is awesome.
Yeah, even the minor characters are really standouts, like the
The
ship
neighbor,
general, the neighbor that really came through to help out with the kid, the reluctant general who came out of retirement, so to speak, and kind of like, all right, we can't have the United States or Russia come and help us, so like let us, private citizens just
yeah, the
get some
civilian
ships.
navy and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, look at this, like
And
some
the
of these,
mechanic, I love that they brought him back.
and he beat the shit out of our hero. And they even did a Batman Dark Knight Rises where this button lets you eject. Now, since we love this movie so much, and since we really think there's great potential for a sequel, you think it'll come very quickly? I mean, I know he's regenerating as it was the credits were rolling, he was already regenerating, but I would assume that it's going to take time. You think they would like fast forward it a couple of like decades or something like that? So
Possibly, I could see that being like future families and stuff like that. I'm just curious to see how they'll do it with like a new group of people and what decade they would choose.
yeah, I mean they have really great potential for a long lasting series. Like I could see as long as they ensure to use this type of storytelling and these elements, they could really do something fantastic with a sequel where it's not like, all right, yay, you did it, buddy, and then like, psych, 5 minutes later, rah, we get they're chilling on the beach, and oh no, what's that? Wait a minute, I thought you. Oh no,
Yeah, definitely got to just remember the human element is what they excelled at in this movie, and just keep the heart in it.
Yeah, that's the main thing they'll have to do. But I think they will succeed if they continue, like I said, continue with the formula and really focus on a good amalgamation of human monster elements. Maybe they could do something where instead of being Japan, it goes and destroys Vietnam.
Oh yes, and have the Vietnam War, have like
Yeah.
Godzilla.
You have Godzilla tear up Vietnam. A little bit of a different setting for it. That would be kind of cool. But I would assume they would go with like a little bit more modern Tokyo, so you could see all the neon lights, Christmas time, and give us what we're kind of used to in classic Godzilla movies. But wherever they go, I'm there. I think you're going to be there too, and we'll review it a week after it comes out because that's our shtick. This has been Joe Dove, and those Japanese texts say Billy translated in Japanese. And if you enjoyed this show, be sure to join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. to check out the console room. It is the final episode of the 60th anniversary specials. So be sure to check that out. That's 8 p.m. tomorrow. It's a lot of fun here on To Be Seen. Next week, our new series of Shedding Lights drop. So be sure to come back and check those out too. And if you enjoy everything you see, be sure to check out our producer, VHS Jace, on his channel with the incomparable Rick on Pop Culture Spread, where they're going to be talking about movies and streaming news. There's a lot of things going down, the world's shifting, and these guys are right on top of it. And of course, if you are a big Trekkie, be sure to check us out at the Captain's Quadrant, where I co-host with the amazing Jason Roy Gaston every Thursday night at 9 p.m. So if you have a laid up leg or if you caught COVID, we have plenty of things to entertain you, and we'll be there to do as such. Billy, I hope you are safe and no monsters come and get you.
The war is finally over.